Alright, y'all, so today we're going to be doing a very quick review of the sixth studio album from the Beach Boys, All Summer Long. This album came out in, I believe, summer of 1964. This was their follow-up to their last album, Shut Down Volume 2. And yeah, just wanted to give you a really quick review of this. So going into this album, it's pretty interesting. To kind of give you a little bit of background, Brian Wilson by this point had basically become the full-on producer, and I think he was credited, but he was never given royalties, which wouldn't be resolved till years later. And also, I think either before or after this album came out, Murray Wilson, who was, heavily involved with the band, and Brian Wilson's father, Carl and Dennis is as well, was heavily involved with the band in their early years, toured with them, was basically their manager, but it basically came to a point where he kind of overstepped his bounds, especially in terms of the production, which you can kind of see more and more. Brian Wilson was kind of taking the reins of that and producing his own style of music. And eventually Murray Wilson got kicked out of the band. And that became a huge departure in terms of creativity, gave Brian Wilson obviously a lot more freedom and ability to create the music that he felt that the band also wanted to create as well. And this album is pretty interesting. It was kind of one of their last summer-themed albums. I think, it was one of their last ones, at least in terms of a clear departure of sound. Obviously, over the years, it wouldn't be like a huge departure, but this album at least would be the begin of a departure from their usual surfing style of music. And you can definitely see that with certain tracks on this album. Now, I think this is overall a really solid album. Issues that plagued their earlier releases, in particular, the reissue of songs and reusing songs, while not entirely gone, all this stuff is new original material made for the album, which, hey, that's great. And not only that, there's just some fantastic songs, so I'm going to kind of talk about them like I usually do, mention the weak ones, and of course give you my overall opinion. So the first track on this album is I Get Around. Now this single, it wasn't a single, but it was released with the album, and it became the Beach Boys' first #1 hit. And this was a huge deal because while in the past the Beach Boys were insanely popular and were huge in the US, this was 64, so the Beatles were going crazy. Beatlemania was huge in the United States at this time. So the band having their #1 single get released, I Get Around, achieved a huge milestone for Brian Wilson and the Beach Boys, but also, against the onslaught that was the British invasion, right? So it was a huge deal, and it placed the Beach Boys, at least for a little bit, as huge competitors to the Beatles. And it's a great track. I mean, I Get Around is one of their most usually played and often played tracks, and it's great. It's got a really great progression. Its chord progression is quite weird, but I like the sound. It's got this catchy hook, I get around. It's such a great and catchy hook for the band. Even though I do prefer Fun, Fun, Fun from their previous album, just a little bit of a bias thing, I Get Around is a fantastic song, and it's one of my top 10 for sure. Now, going into this album, there's a lot of deep cuts that I didn't even know about. All Summer Long is quite underrated, I would say. It's the title track. It's basically about leaving the summer behind, and I kind of wish this was like the closer of the album, but it's a really good track, and it talks about the closing of summer, closing kind of like this whole vibe, like you ending summer break, you're going back into school, or kind of whatever you're doing, and you're coming back to do something. It's great. Hushabye, another track on the album, standout track. It's a cover of an older song, but honestly, I prefer the Beach Boys version. It's incredible. I mean, it's a great cover. I love it, and it's fantastic. It's one of my personal favorite on this album. Little Honda is another car one. It's good. It's catchy. It's a decent tune. The next one is We'll Run Away, a pretty interesting emotional ballad from Brian, talking about, marrying too young and running away to do crazy things as lovers usually do. It's a nice romantic track. I like it a lot. Carl's Big Chance, it's a instrumental. It's all right. Wendy, which was released as a single, is really solid. It's one of my favorite on the album. Now we have Do You Remember, which, is a cover of a, more popular 50s style rock song. I mean, it's okay. I would say it's the weaker part of the album. It's a cover. I just think when the Beach Boys engage in more rock style 50s tunes, at least this early in their career, I think they struggle a little bit, at least in my opinion. I know a lot of people probably have different opinions, and I've seen comments say otherwise, but I just think when it comes to the more emotionally ballad-like songs, especially when they're doing covers of those, they nail it out the park, like Hush-A-Bye. But Do You Remember? It's a weak point on the album. Girls on the Beach is a decent tune. It's a decent tune. Drivin' is kind of a evolution of a song they did on the previous album, but it's talking about, once again, drive-ins. It's admittedly catchy. But it's not my favorite tune, and it's decent overall. And then we got our favorite recording sessions, which is another throwaway sessions-like track. And to be honest with you, Murray Wilson speaks a little bit in it, and it's just a really strange track considering the fact that he got fired from the band. So it's a really odd track. And this is stuff that you usually wouldn't see on normal albums. And the Beach Boys did this throughout all their early stuff. I'm not sure why Capitol allowed it, but it's just kind of weird and doesn't add anything. And then Don't Back Down, which is more of a style of their surfer tunes from their previous albums, is decent. So overall, to kind of talk about this album, to give you my quick thoughts, All Summer Long is a really solid follow-up to their last one. There's some really great tunes. Their first number one hit was on this album. There's some really nice deep cuts, so to speak. Hush-A-Bye, All Summer Long, Runaway, great tunes. Some mixed bags with some of the covers and previous tracks, and once again, weird put-in session tapes. But overall, I gotta say, All Summer Long is a pretty good album. It's kind of one of their last surfing style albums, and they're going to be kind of going more and more in a different direction, which I think was needed. But it's a pretty decent album overall. So that's my quick thoughts on this album. Peace, y'all.